Okay, Animal Farm withholds many different and interesting types of characters. And even though the animals in the book was mainly based on different people connected to the Russian Revolution, something that is so great about this novel is that it can be tied up with people in today's society that share the same characteristics. Therefore, I've chosen the assignment where I compare some of the most current public figures to the classics in Animal Farm. So I'm going to compare Napoleon to Kim Jong-un, all the animals with the people of North Korea, Molly with Kim Kardashian, and Squealer with Kellyanne Conway. So first I'm gonna compare Napoleon and Kim Jong-un. So I'm going to compare Napoleon and Kim Jong-un a bit more thorough than the rest, simply because there's a scary amount of similarities that need to be recognized. Kim Jong-un isn't the only big leader sharing commonalities today, though, which I believe is one of the most prominent reasons to why Orwell's work is so relevant and important even today. So, Napoleon is the main leader of the farm, the big man on campus, if you will. And the very first description we get of Napoleon is that he is a fierce-looking boar with a reputation for getting his own way. So, throughout the novel, Napoleon's method of getting his own way involves a combination of propaganda and terror that none of the animals can resist. And note that as soon as the revolution is won, Napoleon's first action is to steal the cow's milk for the pigs. So, Kim Jong-un is known for assassinating ruling officials or other people that might be a threat to his complete power. And it is even speculated that Kim Jong-un, the North Korean dictator, reportedly ordered the execution of his own uncle and mentor in December 2013 after learning that he had proposed to China that they should support a coup to replace him with his half-brother Kim Jong-nam. His brother was later also assassinated at an airport in February 2017. So this is very similar to how Napoleon attacks and chases Noble away from the farm in order to maintain power. He does this so he can have full control in a way that made it seem as though Snowball had betrayed all of them, as though, Snowball was the bad guy. And after the assassination of Kim Jong-un's uncle, Kim Jong-un released a statement saying that his uncle was human scum, who was worse than a dog. And Napoleon, amongst other things, also claimed that Snowball was plotting to attack the farm in collision with the neighboring farmers. And he also described him, through Squealer, as no better than a criminal. See the resemblance yet? No? Okay, let's keep going. And then there is the constant strive for luxury that both Napoleon and Kim Jong-un is very guilty of. In Animal Farm, all of the animals are usually tired for being overworked and typically do neither get much to eat or any reward for their hard work. Despite the seemingly lack of food, Napoleon and the rest of the pigs always have enough to eat and barely have to work. Odd. The same thing is currently happening in North Korea. Kim Jong-un has an estimated $5 billion at his disposal, and the UN says this money should be spent on raising the standards in the struggling country and on its people. But a lot of it isn't. Instead, he reportedly spends an average $30 million each year on importing liquors into the country for his own elite circles, and he buys himself multiple cars worth up to $100 million. So while he is bathing in one of the world's most luxurious lifestyles, most of the country is suffering. Next, I'm going to compare the animals on the farm and the North Korean population. So the animals in the novel that are not a part of the pig's totalitarian regime and the North Korean population are quite similar. This is because both the people of North Korea and the animals on the farm seem to be scared and maybe even brainwashed by the ideas that the leaders speak so strongly about. In the book, the animals who choose to rebel against the pigs in order to fight for their well-being and their rights either get killed or thrown out the farm. An example of this is the hens' rebellion over the eggs. Spoiler alert, they all got slaughtered. So this is definitely very shocking to the animals, but most importantly, they get very scared of telling against their leaders or doing anything wrong against them. So in North Korea, the same situation is current. The people are terrified to speak out because they are afraid it would harm themselves and their family, because they know that if they were to speak out against their wrongdoings of Kim Jong-un, they could be put into what is similar to a concentration camp. North Korea denies that there are such camps, but up to 120,000 people are said to be working in these camps. So next I am gonna compare Molly and Kim Kardashian. Molly is the beautiful, vain and spoiled white mare that drives Mr. Jones' carriage in Animal Farm. She is a shallow materialist who cares nothing for the struggles of her fellow animals. Her first appearance in the novel suggests her personality when she enters the meeting at the last moment, chewing sugar and sitting in the front so that the others will be able to admire the red ribbons she wears in her mane. Her only concerns about the revolution are the ones prompted by her ego. So when she asks Noble if they will still have sugar and ribbons after the rebellion, she betrays the thoughts of all measure and reveals her vanity. She is later tempted off the farm by the prospect of more material possessions than she could have enjoyed in an animal-governed world, where she marks as to herself as to one whom politics and struggle mean nothing. So even though this might be a bit of a controversial subject with different opinions surrounding the matter, I think that Kim Kardashian is as close to a version of Molly in today's public eye that can be found. An example of some of her Orwellian characteristics was when she appeared in billboard adverts for something called Quick Trim under the striking slogan, "Burn it up, flesh it out," and then claimed that her desirable figure were due to these pills. However, there was soon revealed that as the pills only contained caffeine, this could not be possible. So I believe that she got too caught up in the money and the attention that she forgot about the greater good, and unfortunately her true vanity came shining through. And there might not be a more perfect example of this vanity than the time Kris Jenner and Kim Kardashian accompanied Khloe as she was going to jail to serve her sentence for violating probation. Kris Jenner said annoyed to Kim, "Kim, would you stop taking pictures of yourself? Your sister is going to jail." So they sit in the car and Kim just keeps taking selfies of herself while they're going to jail. And I feel like this is a perfect reflection of how Kim often can be a bit too obsessed with her own image and, well, looks, and everyone else's well-being can be a bit set aside. And just as with Molly, struggle and difficulty is simply not that big of a deal as it should be. Last but not least, I'm going to compare Squealer to Kellyanne Conway. So Squealer was a clever pig in the book Animal Farm, who, as the animal said, could turn black into white. Throughout the novel, Squealer serves as a sort of minister of propaganda to Napoleon. And every time an act of Napoleon is questioned by the other animals, regardless of how selfish or severe it may seem, Squealer makes sure to convince the animals that Napoleon is only acting in their best interests. In one specific case, Squealer is questioned about Napoleon stealing milk and apples, to which he responds that Napoleon and his fellow pigs must take the milk and apples because they contain substances absolutely necessary to the well-being of a pig. One can argue that Squealer says what is necessary to make the wrongdoings committed by his leader seem understandable and rational, that he simply just bends the truth a little to fit his leader's narrative. That Squealer is merely a master of providing alternate facts. And another person guilty of providing alternate facts may be Kellyanne Conway herself, the White House spokesman. With their shameless need to protect Donald Trump and the White House administration, Conway provides either a perfect distraction to the questions asked or sharing, yes, alternate facts that more frankly are falsehoods twisted into realistic yet untruthful statements. An example of this might be when she constantly uses the propaganda techniques in order to defend the administration. Asked on Meet the Press why Spicer, former White House press secretary, used his first appearance in front of the press to a minimal issue like the inauguration crowd size, and why he used falsehood to do so, Conway chose to push back. I don't think you can prove those numbers one way or another. There's no way to quantify crowd numbers. We all know that, Conway said. This sounds just about legitimate. Bigger crowds are very big, and bigger crowds are very chaotic. Therefore, counting each person is hard, Except, the fact that it isn't. It's as simple as comparing pictures from Obama's crowd to Trump's from different angles. As you can see in the picture, Obama's is on the left. So, even though maybe it has some truth to it, because neatly counting each one is very hard. It's not really that hard to see which one was bigger. But in addition to this, she also even stated that the falsehood that Sean Spicer had come up with wasn't at all false, but rather an alternate fact. So, Orwell even said that political language can be designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind. So, one should dig a little deeper, look between the lines, and remember that Orwell based his characters on historical figures which played a significant role in aiding the rise of an extreme oppressor. But he wasn't just commenting on what was happening at the time, he was also issuing a warning about what might happen in the future. So to conclude this type of discussion, I would like to emphasize that even though Animal Farm was based upon the Soviet Union and the introduction to communism in Russia, this wasn't the entire message within the book. The characters does not only symbolize the already long dead characters linked to the Russian Revolution, but just simple human nature, how people have been all throughout history and how people always will be. So these are the sources I've used. Thank you for listening.